Hey guys, Joe here at ECRM Center Store Sessions in Chicago, and I'm with Sally Lyons Wyatt from IRI, who just gave a great presentation on center store opportunities. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Joe. Appreciate it.
So we're going to talk about three components of that presentation, three takeaways that I wanted to discuss. And the first part was when you talked about holistic health and how we're more into self-care. We're using food as medicine and a key part of our health, and there are center store opportunities within that.
Yes. So holistic health, you can call it whatever you may, whether it's self-care, your health and wellness regime, wellness plans. I call it holistic health because it's all the activities that consumers do in order to stay well. And food and beverage is right in the front and center of that. 82% of consumers consider food and beverage as part of their holistic health regime. And so when you look at the impact that means, whether it's traditional daily nutritional goals, right? Or perhaps you're on a diet and those diets require specific foods that you can eat. Or perhaps it's just a chronic disease state that you need to manage. Those different things impact what consumers are looking for and choosing where they're going to shop, and not only that, but then what they buy. So we're seeing that holistic health has been progressing, and you see the impact with certain diets, self-prescribed diets. There's certain foods that are allowed and not allowed. That impacts. So that's one area to think about. Functional medicine is thriving right now in the US, and that is really outside of traditional medicine and being able to look at a consumer's makeup, whether through their blood, their DNA, combination of both, and understanding what foods are good and bad for them based on what's going on in their own body. So all of those things are driving consumers to be more intelligent about the food and needing assistance from retail in order to help them with their journey.
I've seen that a lot, and you know, both with me, my family, and what's interesting is you mentioned the different age groups too, and I think the millennials and the younger generations almost influence the older generations because they're growing up healthy and more active, and they're working out all the time. And now the older generations, like me, I'm 47, and all of my friends in my age group have, over the past couple of years, recently really started focusing on eating better and working out. So kind of, I saw that in your data.
It is pointing out, so your story is similar to millions of people in the US. And, you know, I kind of joke about my own trainer, who is the most unhealthy, healthy person I know, because he did the functional medicine, he found out the toxins that are in his system, and he's taking the time and energy, but he's got certain foods he can and can't eat. So the idea for retail, though, at the end of the day, is to be able to understand your consumers, all the different needs that they have for their holistic health progression, and be able to have assistance in the store, whether it's signage, whether it's nutritionists and dietitians, online resources, in-store resources. That's so critically important in order to help. And then from what's in the aisles, then making sure that you can call that out or help them with different images that are going to help them know what is approved and not approved for whatever their journey is.
To that point, there's a lot of people, myself included, that are getting all their health information online from blogs, particularly podcasts. Podcasts are really huge now, and they're always talking about diets and health, and they'll talk about some of those, what do you call it, the functional medicine?
Sure.
So they'll even get into that, and that's going to impact it as well. So, and you discussed that a little bit. Can you go into a little more detail about that?
So when you think about functional medicine, they are indeed looking at your blood and understanding the makeup and the composition. But in general, when you think about whether it's the functional medicine or even, say it's ketogenic diet, right? Bread's not a good thing on certain diets, but yet bakery has found a way to do unique and innovative options for some of these consumers that are either on certain diets and have certain needs, and that's what's happening across many categories, but it's still an uncharted territory. So I think from innovation as well as, again, education in the stores, I think that is a prime opportunity to zero in to find additional ways to reach and assist your shopper on their journey.
And then digital included, extending that outside of the store.
So when you think about the food influencers, that is massive. So from a food influencing standpoint, that was one of the trends we highlighted. And this isn't your, necessarily the movie star or the TV star.
The Kardashian type influencers.
It's not that
no,
influencer, but it is some of these traditional influencers, and social and digital are part of that. So you mentioned it, you see, we were talking and you talked about, hey, I see a lot that you get people telling you certain things about how to cook something or their favorite go-to foods that makes them feel better, right? So this influencing is such an uncharted territory because there are traditional mediums, right? So whether that's your signage in the store or price, or if you think about perhaps when you think about just certain things from an assortment standpoint, those are traditional influencers. Traditional print media, right? Think about TV, those are traditional. I think there is a huge opportunity to tap into some of these new influencers like digital and social in ways outside of just an Instagram post of a recipe or an Instagram post of an image that might make you feel good. How do you connect one-on-one with that consumer? How can you engage with them with messages that are going to entice them to want to come shop your store, want to come shop your brand, want to come and shop for your specific products?
So maybe weaving content about how these center store items are relevant or can be a part of these different diets that people are on.
Absolutely. So Jeff's selling and influencing is very well connected.
Yep. And even though people are doing all this research and they're spending more time kind of vetting what they're going to put in their bodies, they still want convenience.
They want convenience. So convenience, I'm calling it ubiquitous convenience right now. It is absolutely critical. Now, what's interesting about the holistic health, I have to also balance with consumers still love to indulge. And so we see that with ubiquitous convenience, that there's a way to get some indulgent options, but yet in convenient form and a little more portion control, right?
Yeah.
So that's one aspect. But what we've seen are these blurred lines. So it used to be that you would have just nuts and crackers and lunch meats and salami, right? Now you see these blurred lines with these snack packages or meal kits that have those different ingredients in one convenient option. And so that's one example, but you can go into any category in the store these days and find some different convenient options that can be eaten on the go or on the run, at work, at home, in the car, in the train, wherever that might be. And this ubiquitous convenience is blurring lines, blurring categories, blurring aisles. It is fundamentally going to change, I think, how consumers think about their food. It isn't necessarily about a category, it's about an occasion. And how can you use ubiquitous convenience in order to attract more and more consumers for the different eating occasions they have throughout the day?
Yep. Well, for me, it's easy. As far as convenience goes, I live in Queens, in New York, so I have everything right outside my door. But if you don't, it's good to have that packaged in a way that makes things easy for you.
Agreed.
So thank you for your presentation. We're going to have follow-up blog posts about the presentation as well online. So
Thank you, Joe.
Okay.